Alright, this is an instruction video on changing and filling the fish tank, the fish feeder. I'm going to go through what those steps are, and hopefully it'll help the next time I'm not around and we need somebody to do it. First thing you need to do is to locate a string, and here's the string. There's also one in the bucket of fish food that I keep in the house. Then you'll need to make sure that you have the grabber. I'll open up 2 clips. And I usually use the handle prop it open at first, so it's out of the way. Now the feeder's right in here. See, the fish are getting excited. The feeder's right in here. I access it from the top. Fish food should be in the bucket. Anyway, the next step after you get this open is to get the feeder out. Yeah, my string is right here. One end has a loop on it. That's the end I'm going to hook over here on this S hook, this metal S hook right there. I'm going to tie the other end somewhere on the cage just so that it won't fall in. Alright, the other step is to, after you do that, is to tie this knot just enough so that the string won't fall into the pond. Then what you're going to do is pull up on the string, which lifts the feeder off. I'm going to lift up on the string, the feeder drops down. I then use my grabber to grab one of the strings and pull it towards me so it doesn't fall into the water. At that point, I have the feeder removed. I'm going to unhook my string and set it back up so it's out of the way. And now I'm going to grab the feeder. I'm going to set the feeder on the lid so that as I'm filling it, the excess will just dribble down into the lid and I can dump the lid into the pond. There's 2 catches, front and back, or however you want to call it, that have to be removed so that you can lift the lid off. Now I have access to the insides. Notice there's still a little food left over. I could have gone a whole nother day without doing this. What a waste of time. What I'm going to do next is to take some of the flake food and put it in so that I have about 3 inches of flake food, maybe 4, piled up in there. And then I'm going to put some of the pellets on top of that to weight it down. Here's the flakes. Now this bag is getting close to being emptied, so it's easier to deal with. You got to be careful, it's a windy day out, so the flakes are going to want to fly. I'm going to put in about 2 to 3 inches of food. Set that back down and grab the pellets. There's the inside of the tank. You can see for the feeder I have filled up to about 2 to 3 inches. And now I have the fish pellets and I'm going to put those in. I want to spread those around. I don't want to put a heavy layer. I just want a nice little fish pellets in there. They'll weight it down. Pellets also help you grab the powdered food and push it down. I'm going to go back to my fish food, pour in another couple of 3 inches. See the wind's catching the food pretty easily. One thing I forgot to put in was this. These are pellets that sink, so the fish can actually find some of the pellets. That's a lot. I'm going to use about half of it on this section right here, and then save the rest for another layer, because those will cloud the water if you get too many of them. Put some more of those in. Oh, gonna run out of those. Usually I have an extra bag, but I'm behind in ordering them. Bad me. I filled it up some more. I'm gonna go ahead and put some more flake food in. Again, 2 to 3 inches. 3 inches is good. As long as you have pellets on top of it, you're okay. Add more of those pellets. Again, I'm running low on these. This will probably be the last. Yeah, I can get one more layer maybe of these. Plastic, oops, this plastic bag is about out. There isn't much left in here, so I'm going to go ahead and pour the rest in here. I'm going to use the rest of my pellets. I'm almost out of those as well. Like I said, usually I have a backup bag and I don't. So we'll be just using what we have here. Sometimes I'll put the little wormy foods in, and I meant to order some. Well, you know how it is. I forgot. I was looking at them the other night. I should have ordered them then, but I didn't. And I'm only putting in a little bit of these pellets, not that many. It's pretty much filled to the top. I'm not going to go all the way. This should be enough food probably for 2 to 3 weeks, maybe 4, depending on how, if it works or doesn't work. And there's a whole feeding of food right there on the ground that I screwed up on. But if it wasn't for screw-ups, what would there be? I'm going to put the lid back on. Sometimes this can be a pain because it has to go just right. Clips in place. Looks like that worked. Now I'm going to go ahead and roll this just a little bit. I know I made an effort to try to make sure that everything was layered nicely, but I'm going to roll it a little bit just to break up those layers some. See, I'm losing quite a bit of food on the ground. So the skunk will have something to eat tonight. I'm ready to put this back in now. So, alright, I've got the feeder. Now what I need to do is to take my string and attach it to it. I'm going to take up the slack. I'm not quite ready to let it go yet. To make sure that I have the string so that it's supported well. And I'm ready to start tucking it up. Oops, I didn't get it wet. it. But, so there's the front. And you can see that it's in place. I have the feeder auto feed button on the front where I can push it. Manual feed, excuse me. The top I have it hooked up. So I'm going to disconnect my string, come over here and untie it. Now if you see this stick right here, this is manual feed button, and normally you just stick it through the cage and you get it to line up with the button there, and then you give it a little push, and there you can see it feeding just a little bit, and it went fine. So I know that the feed's going to work. Sometimes I'll do that with it on the ground out here and just dump the food in, but I went ahead and did it while you hear the wind rattling the line. Got quite a bit of food here that I can just dump in there. And that's basically the feeding. And that's basically setting everything up. You see the fish are pretty happy because they just got food. Of course, they probably were fed about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, and they'll be fed in another 2 hours. So they probably had way more food than they need. But that's why they're fat. And then it's just time to close this up. Always make sure you latch the inside and the outside metal. Go to the bottom, because we did have a skunk here last night. You can smell him. He was probably looking for the fish because he's hungry. They're hungry. And luckily, all we did was smell it. Do some more work out here. There you have it. Pretty darn exciting. So if you get stuck here having to take care of these fish, basically this is what you're going to do to feed them or to set up the feeder. And again, if you need to double check it, all you need to do to check if the feeder is working is you go and you locate your stick, which is right here, this green stick, and you plug it in to that little black hole right there, that black hole right there, and you give it a little push and you see if the feeder drops its food, and if it's dropping food, you're great. If not, the best thing to do is just to pull it out, do it over again, give it a roll, a couple of rolls, and then set it back in and test it out instead of shaking everything apart.